Hi and good evening. My name is David, and this is another session of our run of Wanderhome by J Dragon. So Wanderhome is a game of talking animals going on adventures around the world of Heath. You can find more about that at the link down below if this intrigues you. If you want to hear more about the game itself, then going back to the very first episode in this playlist is probably your best bet, where I talk about it in a little bit more detail. This game is being run via the Gauntlet, which is an online role-playing group. We get together and run games like this online. We sort of have a calendar where you can sign up for sessions. That's open to open invitations. If there are slots available, you are more than willing to sign up for them. As well as getting together for games like this, we have a sort of game magazine called Codex, which has just released a new issue. So that's available out there. You can sort of get first access to that through our Patreon. There's also a number of podcasts that we host, and you can find information on all that stuff down again at the link below, but that is gauntlet-rpg.com. So do check that as well if any of this interests you. So we have Neil tonight joining us with a new character. But first off, we will go on a quick round of introductions of our current characters and their players. So I'll do this in character keeper order. So I think Nathan, if you'd like to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about who you're playing this evening and maybe what you got up to last time.
Yeah, I'm Nathan, and I'm playing Gus. Gus is a donkey using the peddler playbook. As a peddler, I haul goods from place to place on the back of my mighty horned Atlas beetle, named appropriately Atlas. Gus is sort of torn between sort of a friendly and sharing nature and feeling as though he needs to live up to the standards of being a business donkey and thus be a little bit more stingy and business minded than perhaps his heart truly is. Last time we were at, let's see, in sort of a big maze of hedges and what all. I'm trying to remember what Gus got up to specifically. I think the main thing that stands out for Gus from last time is he came across in sort of the grand lost and found bazaar market hall in the Emerdina halls. He found someone who was selling a personal item of his that he had given away years ago and never expected to come across again, which was a flute hand carved by his father, and that Gus had given away to a person who at the one time was sort of his romantic partner, but he hadn't seen in quite some time.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And Brandon, yeah, if you'd like to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about who you're playing tonight.
Yes, I'm playing Remy, who is a roseate, a pink spoonbill, who is a dancer, wears flowing, elaborate orange and yellow silks and golden jewelry, and kind of spent last session mostly flowing around on the outside of some very serious conversations that were happening, and spying on private conversations of ex-lovers, and making everything a bit of a lark, getting us lost in a labyrinth.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And yeah, as I said, my name is David. I use he, him pronouns, and I will tonight be playing Quoth, the rook, in the poet playbook. So Quoth is traveling the lands, specifically writing a book about the nameless godslayer who once wielded the heaven's blade, the ruin that they left in their wake, confronting the slobbering god who is driven by a desire to understand and empathize. That's sort of his main main motivation, though he is very, very easily distracted from that motivation. Rook tends to Quoth tends to dress in sort of a big long traveling cloak with loads of pockets in it, with notebooks and paper and pens sticking out all over. He has a pair of pince-nez spectacles that he perches on the end of his beak that he very rarely actually wears and mostly just loses. And he again has a collection of half-smoked cigarettes festooned about his person, though he seems to spend more time recovering or re-rolling them than he does actually smoking them. And yeah, last time we saw Quoth, he had been commissioned to write a very long and very boring genealogy of the Lynx Queen of the Emeraldine Halls. That's sort of the last thing he was commissioned to do. I'm pleased to introduce a new player for this evening. So Neil, are you okay to introduce the character you're playing tonight?
Yes. Let me get this up. So I've got everything in front of me. Okay, so I'm going to be playing. So my name's Neil. Pronouns he, him. I'm going to be playing Dom, and he is a weasel. He's using the Vagabond playbook. So, and he regards himself as a gentleman thief, basically. He's quite open about his maybe less than honest, but he also is quite picky in terms of how people think about him. He's maybe got a bit of a chip on his shoulder about being looked down on. He considers himself an honourable thief, maybe with with rules and things, not the common sorts. So he's always got a little chip on his shoulder about that. He has a black cloak and quite a stylish big hat that he can sort of doff and sweep around, and likes being quite dressing quite finely as much as he can. Although being a vagabond, it's more sort of for show, and if you kind of say it's all going to be a bit frayed around the edges and seen better days. So he likes to present sort of a more rich and ostentatious sort of image. So, all right.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. So the first thing we'll do is just establish a couple of quick initial links between Dom and some of the other characters. Neil, you should see on either on the PDF of the playbook itself or on the character keeper, there's a couple of drop downs, and there's just a couple of questions there. If you want to pick two of those questions and ask them of two of the other characters here tonight. Generally, it's one to the left, one to the right, but because it will only be you asking these questions this evening, you feel free to ask whichever of the characters out of Quoth, Gus, and Remy that you choose.
Okay. So maybe with. I think with Gus, I think I'll ask him, how did we get off on the wrong foot?
I can imagine a few ways here. I think that the easiest thing is that either I caught you whether or not you were actually going to take something. I caught you looking through stuff and I assumed you were going to take something. Perhaps you were just browsing, since I have so many fine things to look at, but I definitely suspected the worst. I don't know whether or not you actually, what your intent was, Dom, but I think that Gus jumped to that conclusion.
To be fair, it probably was, yeah.
And it probably, you were maybe,
what? I'm offended you would think so, but yeah.
Sure. Well, and then maybe you even were a little bit offended, not offended, but a little bit surprised of like maybe Gus even overreacted to something like, taking the last cigarette from the packet, without asking, and just like, oh, you thief, it's just like, I thought we were all friends. But Gus was a little bit tight-fisted.
Okay, yeah, I think that sounds good. And let me see, one more. Let's see. And maybe with Quoth. Should I? How have you helped me when no one else would?
Oh, I think maybe Quoth at one point delivered a very long-winded and confusing defense of Dom before a local magistrate, relying more on his powers of oratory than any actual legal knowledge. And mostly, I think the case was just dismissed because they had a fairly busy morning and just wanted to put this all aside.
Yeah. After a long thing quoting obscure legal precedents years back, so it's not worth the bother. That's good.
Awesome. So we're now going to go through just a couple of quick setup steps for our kind of our story today. So there's a couple of things we'll be doing here. The first one is we'll just be going through a couple of questions based on our new month, which is we are now in the month of Devil Days. There is a little tab again in the Character Keeper with it's called Devil Days that has some of this in. So Devil Days is the second month of Bright, when the sun's heat becomes near unbearable. What we'll do here is there's going to be a couple of different options that we'll have to choose, which will kind of set just a kind of some thematic stuff for our experience of this month. And then we will, once we've done that, we will set up our place for today.
It looks like some of the prompts for the month are specific to the place that we're at. Should we do it in the opposite order?
Yeah, no, that's true. We can do the place first and then come around to the month. That makes sense as well. I'm not sure if there's a way you're supposed to do it, but yeah, that works for me. So yeah, we can kick off with our place. So I'm just going to just set up a new tab for our new place. So the way this works is that we will be, there are 3 elements that we will pick. There are a couple of tabs with this on, so sorry, 3 natures is the in-game term for this. So what you'll see is there's a couple of tabs, one called Trait and Nature Tables. This is just a quick short list of the various natures for places that's set up so that if you want, you can roll 2 dice just to kind of make a selection for yourself if you want, or you can always just pick as well. So if you want to roll a dice, you just roll 1 dice to go along the list along the top. So comfortable, verdant, liminal, sprawling, lonely, and desolate, and then another dice to go down the list for each of those categories. Or as I said, you can just choose. And then on the Natures tab, there's a more detailed list of each of the 3 natures, where we'll start picking aesthetic elements and folklore for the place that we're setting up. So I will return to Character Keeper order. Nathan, if you would like to, again, either randomly determine or choose the first nature for our place today.
1 second here, looking at a couple of them. Yeah, the first one I'll choose is Tavern from the Liminal Natures.
Excellent. And yep, Brandon, if you would like to choose our next nature.
I'll do that randomly.
Oh yeah, if anyone does want a online dice roller, I'll put a link in the chat. There's not really much need for one other than these like natures and stuff, so it's not that necessary. If you have physical dice, those are also cool, but is there if anyone needs it.
We've got a metropolis.
Nice.
Big tavern, or tavern in a big city.
Awesome.
It's
Awesome.
nice. We were much more remote last time. I'm
Yes,
hoping it's
yeah.
much more common as well. It's very stuffy.
Perfect. And Neil, if you would like to pick well, again, either pick or randomly roll for our third nature.
Yes, I think we'll have a castle.
Nice, nice. So we have a tavern, a metropolis, and a castle as our three kind of place elements. So for the I'm imagining kind of the castle and the metropolis kind of combined to be like a big citadel type walled city place, and this tavern is presumably somewhere within this wider metropole. Yeah, with that, what we'll start doing next is picking our either aesthetic elements or folklore about each of these natures. So again, these in the natures tab, you'll see there's kind of a list of options of aesthetic elements or folklore. Again, you can always write something in of your own choice if you want instead. That is also perfectly fine. And when we do these, we don't have to do these in any specific order. We'll just you pick one nature and pick one of the aesthetic elements or one of the folklore for that particular nature. So I will start off on this, and I'm going to go for I'm going to go for our metropolis. For the aesthetic element, I'm going to go for laundry hanging from windows. I've kind of got that sort of like, Mediterranean sort of quite narrow but tall streets with the sort of washing hanging out across them in my mind. Come back around to you, Nathan, if you'd like to choose, like I said, either an aesthetic element for one of the natures or a piece of folklore.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with folklore on the tavern. The night the old king drank here.
Perfect. And Brandon, yeah, again, if you'd like to pick an aesthetic element or a folklore for any of these.
I was looking at the aesthetic elements for the tavern. Barrels and barrels of mead. Feel summery.
Yep, perfect. Neil, if you'd like to pick again one of the aesthetic elements or folklore for any of our natures.
Go to the castle and
Yeah, castle, metropolis, and tavern.
oh, sorry.
Uh,
So did you say this for the tavern or?
No, it can be for the castle, metropolis, or the tavern. Yeah. So
in terms of the folklore, or the ghost on the parapets.
nice. I'm going to go for a furious administrator who oversees all for the castle. And yes, Nathan, if you want to.
Yeah. For the metropolis, I'm going to go with tall, ramshackle apartments.
Nice. Sorry, Brandon.
Right there, that's right.
Yes. Castle. Long shadows.
Nice. Oh, I think I missed myself out there actually. So I'm going to go for I think I'm going to go for some folklore. Folklore. I'm going to go for some. I'm going to go for at the tavern. There is a bar rat with a secret identity, which may or may not be a literal rat. So yeah, Neil, if you would like to choose a piece of folklore about the metropolis.
Yes, intrigued by the night go to Vermilion Street.
Awesome. So the next thing we'll do is just kind of think of a couple of common animal folk that might be found here in our metropolis, or specifically in this tavern, and also a couple of forgotten gods that might be found here, that might be either worshipped or not in this place. I think actually, having just mentioned it, I'm going to say that there are definitely rat folk live in this city. But yeah, does anyone else have any thoughts of either some animal folk that may live here, or a forgotten god that might be found amongst the streets?
Forgotten gods, gods of shattered pottery. Just like little partially broken pots, or like shards of pots that are kind of like together.
And I think another one are gods of doorknobs. Every doorknob in the city is said to have its own god.
Nice.
So look of gods. Let's see who's here. Well, for the folklore, I chose the night go to Vermilion Street. So I think yes, there's some. Maybe some goats.
Yeah.
The night goats.
Yeah.
Goat folk.
Yeah, does anyone else have any thoughts on either any additional animal folk that are commonly found here, or any other forgotten gods that we haven't yet brought in?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a kind of folk. Looking at a couple of lists here to try to narrow in on exactly the vibe.
I like the image of brown bears coming in and out of these, like, probably narrow doorways, narrow streets. I'm imagining in this Mediterranean flavor city, like kind of bumbling about.
And I'll go with, I think, owl folk.
Awesome. Awesome. Cool. That's probably a good start for us to get going with. So does anyone have an idea for a name for this place? And in this case, like, the place may be the city as a whole, or it might just be the specific tavern itself, and that might be kind of the focus of our story today. Depends on what sort of people are feeling, really.
Well, if we wanted to go more expansive into as a city, could be kind of like and we're thinking of it as just a liminal space that you settle from one place to the next. Something like a port city that you stop along the way. If you wanted to, I don't have a name for that yet, but just a aesthetic. I'm looking at a lot of pictures of walled Mediterranean cities on the coast.
Cool. But yeah, no, that sounds good.
Name. I'm not good at names, but yeah. So if it's like port, and I almost think when we think of goats, bears, and things coming in and out, I just think that it's like mountains close by, so it could be there's the mountains behind, and it's the city kind of just on that little between the sea and the mountains there. So you've got like things like the bears, when the goat folk who come down to the city from the mountains behind.
Yeah, that's cool.
See this city maybe having a lot of stairs, switchbacking up and down, and maybe our particular tavern has its entrance like on one of those the landing, midway up a certain great stair. There's if you leave the landing and you can go into this tavern that kind of sits and sucks in people going up and down.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, kind of. I can see them doing a strong trade in mugs of water for people who are carrying heavy loads up and down the stairs. Awesome. I think I'm going to go just in the name of in the for obvious names again, and I think this place is just called Cliffton. It's got that kind of built down the side of a mountain kind of vibe going on. That's cool. So yes, with that, as I said, we'll now touch on our month of Devil Days. So we choose one thing that this place lacks, and the others are all present. So we'll kind of do this one in particular collaboratively. But the four options that three of these, obviously the place will have, one it won't. And those options are parched soil, dry grass, a calming breeze, the cruel bright sun. So which one of these do we think that this place doesn't have? My initial thought is probably the one that's missing is either parched earth or dry grass, because from the sounds of it, this is a fairly built up place. There probably isn't a whole lot of open space, whether that be
I think probably the soil would be my bet too, because like maybe there's like some kind of seagrass or built up along the sides, could be like vineyards and things with dry grass blowing in the calming breeze of the cool bright sun, but not a lot of soil to go deep into.
Yeah,
you get like a nice calm breeze off the sea.
Exactly. I think there's definitely that kind of sea breeze going on. So yeah, we'll go with parched soil is the thing that this place lacks. But yeah, there's those like sea grasses blowing in the wind. There's that calming breeze, and obviously the ever-present sun beating down on the tile roofs. So now we get to choose, and we can do one of each on these if you wish. There is a big drop-down list with signs of the month that are found in this place. So feel free to pick. I'll go through this again in order. So Nathan, if you'd like to pick one first.
Sure. Oh, the theme. I'm going to go with the tart fruit juice.
Nice. And yeah, Brandon.
Yes. Plenty of naps.
Excellent.
Mediterranean, their siestas and things in the.
Excellent. Yeah, cool. And yeah, Neil.
Long thin clouds, I think. Mostly blue skies, but with long thin clouds. Don't give much. Don't block out much of the sun.
Awesome. And I'm going to go with. Ooh. I'm going to go with paper fans. Yeah, everyone's sort of fanning themselves as they go about their business. Awesome. So we have one question that comes about due to the month that we're in. Every time Devil Days rolls around, ask the table, is there something hanging over your head? Mark a meteor for each person who says yes. Once 10 meteors are marked, that means there's a meteor shower phenomenon this year. I'll go back around again. So, Gus, is there anything hanging over your head, do you think?
I think, yeah, I think perhaps there wasn't before, but I think that finding that the lost item at the market in the last place has sort of reminded Gus of some old loose threads.
Cool. And Remy, is there something hanging over your head?
Yeah. Something Remy's constantly, I think, tries not to think about, but the way he hasn't been gone from home very long, and the way he left home, he feels he had good reasons for leaving home. There were expectations put on him that he didn't feel were fair, and wanted to be kind of more of a free dancer than where he grew up allowed. But the way he left was in strife with a fight, and unkind words and raised voices, that he's like, I know I was right for leaving, but it just kind of doesn't sit with him. So.
Awesome, thank you. And Dom, do you think there's anything hanging over your head as we meet you?
Not a lot, I think. I think we'll discover who he has sort of as he goes over. But...
No worries. And I think for Quoth, I think there is. I think that there's some both some nagging doubts over the disappearance of his mother, as well as the work that he's doing on his novel. I think that's also still something that's definitely looming on the horizon for him. So I'm going to mark a tick for him as well. So our last thing before probably actually, to be honest, we'll take a quick break. But first, we'll just do our kind of beginning of session questions. So this is basically, when I found the right, here we go. Yep. So we have our usual 3 questions here that we will kind of answer between ourselves. And then 1 question that we will each answer for our own characters silently. But the first question for all of us to kind of consider is, what sort of place did we just travel from? So yeah, as I said, last place we actually played in was the Emeraldine Halls, a sort of big labyrinth with a palace in the center of it. But do we think that we have kind of been somewhere else on our voyage from there, or was that our last major port of call?
I think it would have been related to that area, like maybe kind of almost within the domain of that queen, just like a contrasting port city. We could have met on a voyage over here, or gone on a ship voyage together from a much more gloomy, chilly city, a vibe of dark rocks with mats of kelp or mats of seaweed, and low, simple houses and chilly breeze.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. In fact, I like the idea. Maybe it's almost like to kind of mirror the labyrinth around the palace. It's almost like a kind of like a Sargasso like bed, whatever you call it, that we had to kind of traverse to get through. Awesome. And the next question is, do we feel our journey has been long? I'm going to say probably it feels like it's been at least a moderate length of time, just because we've obviously taken a ship from one place to another. But yeah, do we feel it's been like a fairly quick voyage or a longer one to get here?
I think what maybe looms largest is like the getting out of the maze at the Emeraldine Halls is like a lot of twists and turns, and then here to wherever we arrive, it's mazy streets, there. So I think even going a short distance kind of can feel like a confusing trek.
Awesome. And the third question is there somewhere that we hope to go?
Remy still doesn't have any solid answer to that. Is there anywhere Dom has on his mind?
Hope to go. I don't think so. I think Dom, it's more maybe about getting away from places that's caused trouble, as long as it's something new and interesting at the moment. He's about wandering around rather than any. I mean, he might sort of, I think he's maybe looking for something, but I don't think that something's maybe a place as much as a something. He's kind of
Cool.
trying to fill, but yeah, I can't think. Just whatever the next place is, the interesting place, I think.
Awesome. So our final question, and this one, as I said, this is something for each character to answer, but we don't actually speak this one aloud. This is just something to think in your own mind, which is, will I someday find a home? So I will give you all a moment to consider that. So that is our kind of where we'll be picking up is as we sort of make our arrival in the city, or our arrival at the tavern, depending on how we want to frame it up. But we will take a quick break now. So if people want to come back at 1:15, and then we'll pick things up from there. I'll see you all in a few minutes. Yeah, awesome. So we can start off with our opening scene. So I think maybe maybe we start off with us arriving at the tavern, having just walked up the stairs from the docks. Obviously, it's hot, sunny. There is a nice cooling breeze, but it's still hard going up the side of this street, and I think Quoth is going to head to the tavern, and just kind of wave at one of the folk working behind the bar here, and order a mug of cool gooseberry juice, which he will guzzle with some gusto.
I think I'll have one of the same. Gooseberry juice sounds delightful.
And so yes, of course. And another for my fine fellow here, and Gus, Dom, do either of you want anything?
Yes, I think Dom will realise that maybe he's a bit light on coins, and oh, if you're buying,
Of course. And he'll there'll probably be a moment of again searching through the many pockets on his cloaks to find to scrounge some coins together, but he'll pay those over to the to the young goat working behind the bar.
Ooh, it's tart. I think I like it.
Yes, it's certainly refreshing. I'll say that for it. I was not expecting it to be quite so warm as it is here. The voyage we've been on over the seas always throws one off a bit with the temperature, with the spray and the winds and the whatnot.
Yeah, I don't know that I would have ever thought I'd say it's too hot for dancing, but it truly might be too hot to dance. I hope it gets cooler here at night. to the bar. I guess I'll, to the barkeep. Does it get cooler here at night? Is there a place? Do we dance here?
And I think the person behind the bar was like, it gets cooler, certainly. I mean, it's still warm. It's a close heat at this time of year, but we still dance, of course. There's usually some dancing going on in the squares around the fountains.
Oh, love dancing in a fountain.
Oh, fountains sound good. He's gone up the stairs. He's still got his insisted on keeping his cloak and his hat on because he wanted to look good, but now he's regretting it. And he's sort of drinking his drink and got his hat off, and he's kind of fanning himself. Looking a bit the worse for sort of the heat and things. So yeah, dreaming of being able to cool off.
I think the bartender will lean forward and say, though if you do go out after dark, be careful. We hear that the night goat of Vermilion Street has been out prowling the alleyways again.
Night goat, Gus says.
Yes, the night goat. They're very mysterious. They get up to all sorts of shenanigans and other
And how do they differ from you, who I assume are a day goat?
I mean, I'm just a goat, but no, the night goat. They dwell in the shadows, and they're, well, as I say, very mysterious. No one quite knows what they look like, but it's they're very fearsome.
Sun's always as hot as this. Dwelling in the shadows seems quite a good idea, as far as I can say.
Well, how much trouble are they causing if we need to watch out for them? They're not a thief, are they?
Well, yes.
No, there's nothing wrong with that.
A thief and a brigand and a general causer of trouble.
This Vermilion Street, does it run close by here? We're not on it now, are we?
No, it's and they'll point after it's the main street on this level. It runs just, and they'll sort of point off to where the road goes.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think that at this Quoth will say, well, that sounds awfully intriguing, this night goat. I shall have to see what more I can learn about them. That's very interesting. But I believe, isn't this tavern the place where the old king came once? I remember hearing a story about that, and Quoth will begin kind of flicking through a couple of different notepads and trying to find some note that he's taken at some point in the past.
Oh, yes. Actually, that's the chair. That's the stool right over there. And see, there's a stool with a little bit of almost a velvet rope round it, and a little plaque. It's like the king such and such sat here, and the year and the date scribed on it. Why, we're a destination for it.
What was he having?
Well, if you want what the king's drinking, the mead, there's a not a sweet one, that dry mead. It's on special today.
I'll bet it is, but I'll have one anyway.
Pulls you a draft of a very light colored, yeah, not at all sweet mead.
So what pulls a king all the way down from their lofty chair to this one? And Guest says as he kind of like nudges the stool with his foot.
Well, much the same as yourself. He found him, was visiting this little city of ours in between what I'm sure was very important business, and found himself harsh, and stopped at, some may say the first, I say the finest establishment that he could see, and asked for a drink. Good tipper.
Intriguing, very interesting. And yeah, Quoth is kind of sketching the stool in his notebook, and so did they make any pronouncements or proclamations or anything else while they were here, or were they incognito, dressed in some sort of disguise or similar?
Well, he said this was the finest mead he'd ever had, but I don't think it was any sort of official proclamation. Not that stopped me putting it on the menu. But I think he was just passing through. But I not much in on business up on the top of the hill. We folk down here don't hear from what are they? They've got some kind of rude ruler. What was it that we had? I'm blanking now.
Oh, the furious
administrator. Mostly keep out of the way of I'm terrible at names too. Old stiff shirt, call him. It's all starched, and now I'm thinking about laundry.
Fascinating. Thank you. It's most interesting. I do like hearing these little tales of the way the powerful and the mighty cross over into the everyday world, where those of us who must live under their auspices can kind of cross over with their lives, as it were. And Quoth is going to kind of lose himself again in their writing.
Dom was going to ask, do you get a lot of rich customers popping in then?
Not many, I have to say. Most people, they leave their ships, they walk right far up the hill. And not many. None such as fine folk as yourself, I'm sure.
All right. I see. So it's trying to hide a bit of disappointment.
I'm gonna go off camera for a minute. I have to eat a little something.
So Dom's fanning himself and I think drinking the gooseberry juice. So I cool down a bit. Looking around. So any plans? I'm wondering about tonight.
Well, I was planning on checking out the city library, and there's several interesting shrines of note around the city that I wanted to go and see, and also there's the theatre, of course. I was going to go in that, and he's sort of reel off this list of the various tourist destinations around the city.
And Gus says, I'm still thinking about that night goat. I'm gonna have to ask around and see if there's any reputable owl-run stables in the neighborhood. If there's a night goat, I feel like they might be able to keep a pair of eyes out for it. I don't want anyone, any goat or otherwise, to mess with my goods. We've come too far. I've come too far this time to suffer that kind of loss.
Well, I certainly am going to be dancing. Maybe you can peddle some of your goods in one of these squares.
I might have to talk up this shopkeep to see if they've got a few, as many casks of mead as are stacked around this place. Maybe they can part with a few. I'm sure that folks from elsewhere would be curious to try the mead that charmed a king. Seems like the kind of thing that almost sells itself.
Yeah, I'm still interested by the night goats, but I might. But depends if it's going to stay this hot. I think I might come to Remy if he's going to dancing more, especially if it's near a fountain, so I can cool down a bit, and just see what this place is like at night.
Listen, it's my experience that if you dance well enough, they don't stop you dancing in the fountain. So don't you fear, I'm a very good dancer.
I think I might leave the dancing to the experts, but it'd be fun to see what's out in this big, port city like this. There's got to be some fun to be had.
Oh, I'll get you on the floor yet. I'll bet that cloak of you would look marvelous billowing about on the in a dance.
A gentleman must maintain his dignity, though, I think. Get back on and the appropriate angle. Feeling a bit more himself now.
Yeah. So, do we want to skip ahead to the evening, or was there anything anyone wanted to get up to in the meantime?
I'm going to skip ahead.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, I think there is as the sun goes down, it does get a little cooler. Though there's still a lot of heat radiating out from the bricks of the tall apartment buildings all around. But there are kind of some night markets set up around the various public squares, and I think maybe there is a lively square where some dancing and other diversions can be found.
And Remy will definitely be right into it on the market. Like, look at this place. A place where people are dancing. I love it already. And there's no one else in the fountain. But probably like starts doing the same dance some other people are doing around the fountain and tries to invite people to dance in the fountain in this strange place that has never been.
Don's just going to find somewhere where he can sit down and get like a wide view of the square and what's going on. So you can see the people dancing and things, just trying to kind of get the sort of casing the joint a bit of the lay of the land, just to see getting a sense of who's there, what's happening. Sort of content, maybe sip a drink and just watch and get a feel for the place, feel the atmosphere. Maybe tapping his foot a little bit on his. But that's as far as he's going to get dancing at the moment. So enjoying the atmosphere, but keeping his eye out in case anything interesting catches his eye.
Gus, will you dance with me?
Oh, I was just going to say, Gus isn't here yet because he's chatting up the owls, trying to get get more from them about like, so this night go, what does he actually do? Has anyone seen him? And so forth. He's trying to find out more about this rumor, this terrifying figure.
The owls like the city watch as well.
Maybe I think that what happens is Gus comes to their shop looking for some sort of some stables that's clearly like staffed all night, right? Sort of like a 24-hour sort of establishment. And then as he arrives, it's like, oh, so you all getting any extra business due to all this night goat fear, and kind of like feeling them out to see if maybe they've heard some of the local talk, the gossip, and hoping that perhaps maybe they've a friend of a friend has heard something, or something like that.
And I think one of the owls is going to say, if you ask me, it's just it's just a rash of unrelated occurrences that people are just pinning on one figure. I don't think we have anything to worry about beyond the usual criminality that goes on within any large cities. We are, of course, remaining vigilant for any such activity, but I feel these rumors of a night goat are very much overrated.
And Gus has taken the wrong impression from this entirely and is now opining, oh, so you're saying it might be a wider conspiracy that only calls itself, has been dubbed the night goat. Very interesting. Very interesting. Well, thank you. This has been very helpful, and you'll promise again to keep close watch over Atlas here.
Of course, we will ensure nothing interferes with your steed.
And Gus sort of like goes through all the motions of like checking everything one more time in the manner of sort of an anxious person, and then toddles off to meet up with the rest near that fountain with a big wooden crate full of bottles of mead that he's going to try to do something with whatever crowd might be there.
Awesome.
Coming up like with a big crate over your shoulder.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
In which case, I guess the reply to "Will you dance with me?" is like,
Yeah.
"Nope, can't do it. Sorry."
Yep. I wouldn't want to break the bottles. I might be, tough enough to haul these around, but I'm not dainty enough to avoid breaking them if I start spinning.
Well, sell some and come on.
And yeah, what kind of about how many people are here enjoying the respite from the day's heat in the mist and shade? Is it very busy?
I imagine relatively so, yeah.
And Gus sets to work hawking it. Nothing better to take the edge off a long hot day than the mead that charmed a king. And yeah, starts kind of strolling about, kind of slung in front of his chest, like a beer vendor at a sporting event.
Remy will come out from the fountain and help warm it up. Like, well, the mead that charmed the king. I'll have one. Yes, please.
Yes.
And makes a big show of being impressed at it.
He's been maybe just like chatting how he something with some other people, but he'll side up and sort of like sidle up and be like, "How's it going?" And when you turn, he's somehow got one of your bowls of mead. When he got it, he's just business okay then. He's having to help himself to a drink.
Yeah, not doing too bad. When you catch Gus's eye, he doesn't say anything, but you do see him like pull out a little scrap of paper and write something down. Like he is clearly adding this to your tab. The forever shall remain unpaid, probably tab of Dom's.
Yes. So I think Tom's also been asked to ask sort of about the night goat because he's interested. Nighttime shenanigans and stuff up his street. So he's maybe share notes with Gus and just find
word I have from the owls is that it might be some sort of street level conspiracy that people have just dubbed the night goat, or perhaps they operate by a singular name to throw off the scent. They seem to think that it could be any number of people involved in this. It's a shame. You only ever see things like this in the big city.
Yeah, it's like a whole league of goat thieves. So I was looking around. He's like, I was like wondering who's
Oh yeah, and Gus now is
people
intrigued enough. He's
in
like,
the league with the night goats.
you. I'm sure you've met more than a few fellows in the trade.
Yeah.
Who here? Who in this courtyard? Who's got the look?
Right.
You know, if you were a guessing weasel,
Look,
who
did you say
do
there
you
was like a
suspect?
market as well around here? Is it just people gathering over their stalls and things?
Yeah, I think there's like some market stalls and similar set up around the edge of the
I think
square.
one of the some traders, something. I was going, that one there. I've had my eye on him. I think there's a few people been coming over to look at these goods and not buy anything, but I think it's a nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Maybe sharing information more than their wares. So he's one to watch.
And Gus sort of nods thoughtfully. Oh, I've heard of this. What do they call it? A front?
Yes.
Interesting.
Perfect cover for random people, seemingly random people that go and talk to each other without arousing suspicion of the owls.
Should we do a stakeout or a ploy? You seem pretty interested in this.
Oh, I don't want to get actually involved. Gus says, like, I don't want any of the bad kind of attention. No, not me.
I can't back out now after we've discovered so much. Do you want to know what's going on?
Oh, I tend to avoid those kinds of entanglements. I like to leave a place in my own good time, and not because I'm worried about the long arm of some law bear snatching me and throwing me in a cell.
Probably not be thrown in a cell if you help solve the mystery of the night goat, the conspiracy. That's admirable. Might even help business.
You're so interested in it. I don't understand why you need my permission to go off on a mission.
I mean, I don't want to get robbed.
You think I do? I don't. I don't want to do. Well, think about it this way. If I start trying to lift up the mask on this night goat, maybe he's going to remember me and look out for me and my beetle next time we scuttle nearby. And next thing you know, I'll open a sack and everything in the sack will be gone and I'll be ruined. No, thank you. I don't need to solve the mystery of the night goat. I just don't want to wander into their path.
Fair enough. Might be the wrong kind of adventure to be on.
If you all are curious, you shouldn't let me stop you. I've got plenty to tend to here. He kind of gestures to, the various people who are enjoying the mead.
Someone's got to remember. Go. To be fair, because that's the point. I mean, I'm kind of interested, and I don't mind trying to figure it out. But I was more thinking you might meet some fellows that we could maybe do business with. I don't like the sound of this hero business that gets people in trouble or worse.
I've never been involved in suspect dealings before. Is it fun?
It's all right. Depends who you're dealing with. But I won't mind finding out a bit more first, if you're up for that. Yeah. As long as we know not to cross the wrong people if the people that we shouldn't be crossing.
I've never been backup before, but maybe we could suss out this vendor you've seen passing some information. A little bit of nudge, a little bit of wink.
Yeah, sounds good.
I mean, you lead the way, but
All right.
big feather fall. I'll back you up.
Okay. So yeah, Wander, in a kind of way that's supposed to be sort of nonchalant, but kind of almost achieves the opposites, like sort of like one taking a few steps and stopping and looking at some object, and then kind of wandering a bit further closer and sidle up to this merchant and sort of how's business this fine evening?
Oh, can't complain, sir. So brisk enough for sure.
It's quite new to your fair city. Heard some strange things about nighttime activities of some possibly goatish variety. Seems all very interesting.
Well, there's all sorts that goes on here, sir. I'm sure whatever you're looking for here in the city, you can find it if you look hard enough.
Well, just having paid for a long voyage, and looking for something that might earn a man some money to replenish his purse after all the expenses of a sea trip.
Of course. Well, there's all sorts of jobs available. Usually, sir, depending on what skills you have.
Well, skills. Lots of interesting skills. Very sort of interesting. Nudge, or maybe. Yes. Maybe some of the sounds of the everyday variety, specialist skills, you might say, with a bit of almost like a wink to see if it gets any response.
I see. So, well, there's a fella you might want to speak with down, and he'll actually point sort of back in the direction of the tavern we're at earlier. I say there's a rat tends to be spends his evenings at the tavern by the name of Whiskers. He's always on the lookout for talented individuals, you might say.
So, tip him a nod and thank him for his time, and hope he has a good evening. I'll sidle back to Remy. It's like, I reckon we're onto something here, mate.
The mystery deepens. A rat with a secret identity. I didn't see him when we were there. Maybe you have to be looking.
Well, to be honest, it's a rat in a port city. They're all over the place. You stop noticing them after a while.
Well, that was very exciting.
So
Let's go tell Gus.
yeah, the game, I believe, as they say, is afoot. Sure, you don't want to come along, Gus?
And you find Gus, he's emptied all his inventory, and he's enjoying a sort of leisurely pipe smoke here, and he says, "You found out what?"
There is I'm sort of looking around, like so no one's overhearing him. Apparently, in our tavern of choice, there is a mysterious rat who might be more than he seems. Goes by the name of Whiskers.
And Gus looks a little bit confused. It's like I'm not totally sure I'm following.
He might have some work for some enterprising fellows who want to make a coin or two.
Oh, and Gus has a sort of dawning. I see. Not just business, shady business. Oh, and Gus is kind of pondering. You know, that he feels like he's at a crossroads. He's tried to keep everything above board up to this point. Well, I suppose there's no harm in it, just talking to someone like that. I suppose.
Yeah, we can find out more.
Well, sure. There can't be any harm in just asking questions, right? It's just talk.
Just talk.
And you can almost hear Gus practicing his answers to any city guard that might come across him. He's rehearsing his excuses.
Yes.
Was Quoth in this square? I couldn't remember from the intro of it, or was he somewhere else? David. Quoth? Yeah.
Wonder if maybe we're not coming through.
Yeah.
Sorry, did I miss something there?
Oh, I was asking where Quoth was.
Oh, sorry. So yeah, no worries. Yeah, I think maybe Quoth has been off trying to do as many of the sites as possible. But yeah, might be coming back to the tavern to have something to eat after a busy day.
So I guess as we're coming down the steep street towards the tavern, you know, I see you from behind. Quoth. Do you want to do some crime?
Some crime.
I mean, do you want to
Maybe
talk about some crime?
Makes it sound so common.
Well, I suppose we could. What sort of crime are we talking about? I mean, I could certainly, I'm sure, come up with some details of various criminal activities. I could maybe write a series of ballads about criminal activities. Those always go down very well.
Look, I don't know that I'm actually trying to do crime, but definitely solve this mystery. And it seems that it involves at least some level of talking to people. So
You're not wrong. I definitely do like reading about the crime stories. So there's something to that for sure.
Perhaps I should.
Don't expect those writers just make it all up.
Perhaps I could, chronicle the details of solving a crime and release that to people. I'm sure that would be of interest. Excellent. So what crime are we investigating?
Not entirely sure yet, but that's what we're going to find out.
Goat crime, I think.
Yeah,
Sorry.
There's a rat to be talked to, as I understand.
Night goat.
What kind of goat? Rat?
With a rat, or a night rat, or a goat. It's a mystery anyway. And,
Intriguing. Well, then yes. Lead on.
As luck would have it, it's at the bar.
Oh, even more convenient.
Imagine it's a good deal more lively at this hour in the evening as well. It's like kind of tables now out on the street, music playing from the sidewalks. It's a simple place, probably the same owner tending bar all day. Walk in, put an arm up on the bar, and look around.
Trying to sit there and look. So we're looking for a rat. Actually, we never did ask what the rat looked like. I think it was a rat. Now I'm thinking about it, that's probably an important question I should have asked. But so we're looking for a rat. Who's maybe not all he appears.
A few rats. Look for the shiftiest one or the least shifty one? Maybe that grandmother rat isn't really a grandmother.
And a grandmother rat would be the type to seem least suspicious. And based on the books I've read, that's what makes them the most suspicious.
I like your thinking.
They always throw in a few like that seem too normal. They're the ones you have to watch out for.
And so we scan the bar looking for our suspect amongst the milling crowds and so on.
And I think Gus is going to end up sort of barking up the wrong tree for quite a while. He's going to settle in, chatting up this grandmother rat. Pretty sure that she's involved in some sort of conspiracy, but just interpreting all her honest and not at all crime involved stories about he interprets every story about a grandchild as another member of the organization. And he's just getting his head turned all the way upside down as he listens to what he think is an incredibly sordid web of criminal activity.
She gives her name, and it's like Ethmilda, not Whiskers. Should have asked that first.
I think he takes the wrong impression because she has a tick of often working the phrase "oh my whiskers" into what she says about various members of her family. And Gus naturally thinks, family. I've heard of crime families. This must be one of them. And so, yeah, he manages to sort of like sideline himself for a bit in this.
Yeah, and I think Quoth is so that's my train of thought. Yeah, I think actually yeah, Quoth is going to be is going to be probably just chatting with a few of the customers. They're sort of sat at the bar talking with a few patrons as they're sort of sat there drinking. Though I think likewise his questioning is going to be fairly unfocused, and I think it doesn't take long before he's just kind of entangled in the general gossip of the day with them.
That's I think Dom's a similar thing, but he's kind of trying to strike casual conversations about people, and then try to drop hints. Or he's going to say he's looking for an old friend he hasn't seen, a friend of a friend he's got told he drinks around here. Rat's name, or what's it? It's almost like he can't. Whiskers or something like that. I don't know. Is here. I got told he drinks here sometimes, and just kind of trying to fish around, making it sound like he's not that interested or not that, just like an aside.
There's one woman that you talk to who is like in like in kind of the wrong voice for this like just large dress draped frame. It's like, keep it down. And you see like the whole form like shifts, and you hear some squeaks from underneath. What is three little rat children in a dress. Looking for Whiskers? What are you looking for Whiskers for? I'm Whiskers. Who sent you?
Your Whiskers. No one was expecting. There was a man in the market gave me Took me a wink that we might have to do some business, or at least see if there's any potential crossover in our areas of business. But I'm kind of thinking maybe not. So I look at it. Kids in a dress. Pretend this also, I'm assuming you mean like they're stood on each other's shoulders kind of thing. Yeah. Kind of like, maybe if someone's got the wrong end of the stick somewhere. Shouldn't be in bed?
Oh no. This guy's just got business. What level of crime are we imagining this to be? It's actually going to be. I don't think these they actually could be. Maybe they're fooling some people. They're certainly drinking at a bar.
I mean, I think when we first heard about it a night ago, it was just one about like shenanigans. I think so. It's enough to be right.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, he's. I think more the thrill of things than any actual particular need to do crime. I mean, he's just more interested in if people are getting up to mischief. He's feeling like maybe left out of those things, but it doesn't have to be hardcore. Although if he does make some money out of it, or comes out for something, that's not so bad.
So, what we do?
Well, you tell me what are you up to?
How are you at spooking? You ever spook, folks?
What?
So, yeah, lurk around in the shadows. It's a bunch of us, see, and we just kind of make some funny noises. Actually, what you do is you take like a simple object, and one of us actually you bump into them, reverse pickpocket, put something in their pocket, so that later we can steal it from them. It's just like it's such a fun game.
Well, it wasn't what I was expecting. It does sound like a laugh though, but
yeah, it's kind of like what do you call experimental theater. And it explains to you how they are a member of a troupe that call themselves the Night Goats, who are like get a kick out of this myth, this legend of the goats, and are perpetuating that rumor in fairly the most like benign ways possible, like not really trying to steal things from people or stealing things that are not of much consequence, like a bottle of wine that's mostly drunk or something like that, replacing it with a bottle of water. Just goof them ups that are technically illegal.
I think across the bar you can see as Gus is sort of in rapt attention to this grandmother rat. There's some small unobtrusive rat who's carefully loading little trinkets into Gus's pocket, with Gus not noticing at all.
That one over there, you see that donkey? Are you with your fingers?
Oh, that donkey. Okay, yeah, I see him.
Go. Right. Guys, I guess you probably don't have shoelaces.
Oh, Gus can be wearing any type of shoe that works best
shoes.
for
Oh
this
yeah,
moment.
right. Mules have, donkeys have shoes.
Yeah.
You tie his shoelaces up, and then bump into him. Kind of do a little tumble over, and you just kind of go through his pockets.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to get this is bad books anymore. But if someone else is doing it and he gets to watch, I mean, that's fine with that. But
Remy, who's been listening.
Remy. Turns out they're more your kind of people than mine.
And Remy will get up to speed on this. Like,
yeah, so good.
I'm always up for a prank. That seems fun. Just one thing I can always do is pull a well-meaning prank. I think this is kind of well-meaning. I'm gonna catch him when he falls. So, but Remy will ask that they tie the shoes. Maybe I'll dance into him, and then I'm gonna let him in on it though, because I gotta say he's been pretty worried about getting robbed, and I don't want to like make his sense of security really that bad. I know it's all a fun game, but I just might do this. Is Gus so enraptured with this conversation now that he's having that he might not notice? Like, maybe that's what it's gonna be. And he's gonna get up from the chair. Remy will be like, "Gus, we found something," and he kind of gets up and his shoes are tied.
Yeah, just instantly kind of tips over and kind of, full maximum chaos kind of like hits the edge of the round table, and it kind of like, pops up and drinks fly. And he lands pretty, he lands on a soft part of his body. He doesn't get hurt, but things go flying. More than a couple of games of dice at nearby tables are interrupted, and some arguments start about, who had which cards. My hand, I was sure to beat you, and so it's a minor catastrophe over in this little corner of the tavern.
The dress drops from the three little rat kids as they scurry out from under the folds of it, and kind of just on your pockets. Gus, it's the night goat. It's the night goat. You see like little shapes that you can't quite tell running away. Gotta go after him.
Right here. It's right under our noses. Gus says as he hurriedly tries to unknot his shoelaces.
Remy will help him up, and we'll go on a pointless caper after these kids.
What did they take?
I don't know. It's your pockets.
It was.
Looked like they had. I'll describe. I guess some items that I saw them take that I'm sure with an inventory of stuff know that you didn't have on you.
Yeah, and digging through his vest pockets and his pants pockets and his many pockets, he keeps finding little odd bits. It's like, this isn't one of the ones that I sell. I don't stock shells like these. I've never even seen this kind of coin before in my life.
You've been night goated.
I don't think. And Gus kind of like rubs his head as it's clearly he's starting to get a headache. It's like, I don't think I have the brain to understand this crime business.
I tell you, it's pretty fun though.
I think, and I think I've come to the decision that I'll leave this sort of business to the professionals that understand it.
You leave the crime up to me and Remy. I mean, me and Dom.
I think Quoth is gonna come up at this point and say, "Oh, has there been a break in the case? Do we have a new perp to hunt down, or something of that nature?"
You could say that, yes.
Oh, excellent. Is it someone we already know, and could we possibly maybe keep their identity a secret until about the third chapter?
I don't know if it's going to be the kind of crime ballads that you were thinking of, to be honest.
Now I'm starting to think this is like one of those crime books that makes me roll my eyes and throw the book at the pillow at the end.
I see. Well, what direction do you think we should take this in then?
I think it's definitely something that we don't need to bother the authorities about. I think we can should keep the secrets of all involved.
But if you want to go to another location, they gave us the name of a speakeasy whose basement this theater company uses as a headquarters, as a hideout. Turns out we were all just in a play.
Oh, a theatre company, you say? That sounds thrilling. Is there a show on tonight?
It's every night. We were just in it.
I think you just
I was
need
an
to get it
actor
right.
and a criminal.
Oh, I see. Did some sort of elaborate public performance piece. Excellent.
They hand out a program maybe that I could read so I can understand it all, what just happened. That's helped sometimes with plays I don't understand.
Oh, yes. It has directions on it. And I don't know that it makes much more sense than what I've established.
Well, I think Gus
worry
is again
about
sort of
Gus.
barking up the wrong kind of tree. He's misunderstanding the kind of theater that this is.
Yeah, don't worry about it, Gus. Foreign ways, not they don't always make sense.
So this whole night goat business was public performance. Then that's certainly something. Well, they definitely worked up the old intrigue there. That's good work on their part, I suppose. But that's thank you. But you said there was a speakeasy. Perhaps we should go along there and check out what's going on.
Sounds good.
I'm into it.
Yep. If you so Don says, just give me 5 minutes. You head off. I'll catch you up.
Cool. I think actually we'll take another quick break though. So if we come back in say well, if we say at 25 and we'll pick things up again there, and we'll check in what we want to do in the last half hour or so. So yeah, speak to you in a moment. So I'll just check in as actually probably in the last half hour now. So is there anything else that anyone particularly wants to get up to that we haven't had a chance to do yet? Or any other scenes I would like to frame up? Yeah.
I'm not sure that I have an idea for it, but just looking at the ideas or the options selected, I'd be curious if anyone had anything for that furious administrator that we haven't seen anything of, the stiff shirt.
Approve of the night goat shenanigans.
No, and I think related to that for sure, we would, this doesn't involve them directly, but they have an actual name and title that I'm not going to try to think of at the moment, but from the office of something of the city of this place that I cannot remember again, Clifton.
Clifton.
Reward offered for information relating to the apprehension of the nefarious night goat. The city itself seems to, the city official itself seems to, I don't know, which version does the city believe? That it's one person, multiple people? Probably multiple people, like the owls believe, like the nefarious night goats.
Yes. So it's a criminal organization of the worst sort. Spreading disorder and terror among the hard-working populace.
Yeah, awesome. So I'm wondering then maybe if if we have a scene at the just at the speakeasy lair of the night goats, just to sort of end up the evening on. And I think Quoth will be there drinking a flagon of something and chatting with a couple of these young rats, asking them about some of the various capers and hijinks that they've been getting up to. And I think they'll probably be trading him sort of fairly exaggerated stories of their exploits, but he will be recording it all.
I think Dom will buy around for anyone. When Gus was pranked and it disturbed some of the card games, Dom caught a sight of a couple of hands of cards and used that to make some money on some wages. So he's feeling a bit flush and generous, and kind of splashing out on drinks for everyone.
I think Gus was convinced to come along, and now that he's here, he doesn't understand exactly what's going on, but he is fascinated by their horde of trinket type goods, and seeing as Gus is also a dealer in trinkets, he's swapping advice and whatnot with how to what sort of methods they use to source some of the stranger trinkets that he's finding amongst their horde, and doing a little bit of actual swapping as well. A little bit of mine for a little bit of yours, kind of a thing.
Awesome.
And yeah, Remy, I think probably engaged too in the conversation with them. For the amount of time that we're staying here, and I think had so much fun, and is actually interested in a gig with this troupe, and asking if they have any need for a dancer, or which probably for purposes of distraction, something they look for. So yeah,
Gus keeps asking questions that betray how he still doesn't get it yet, like but who's the director, and it's like, which one of you is the playwright? For and getting confused when both times it's like, well, there really isn't one of those, and it's like, what?
They've got someone, a couple of them who like write the onomatopoeia that they'll cry out with, like the kind of goat type noises or whatever. They've got to have some signature to it. So it's a lot of do your own thing, but we try to have a style guide, some standards, integrity. Can't just be making any old bleat. And at least some of them, I think, are probably they come from educated theater. Like there are people who would be educated in letters and ballads that Quoth would know. They could, start spouting Shakespeare if they chose to. This is like their passion there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Quoth is probably getting into some conversations about various playwrights and the like, and discussing sharing quotes and all that sort of thing.
And they've got very kind of high-minded justification or can couch what they're doing in particular movements of theater, and citing some playwrights and some maybe rather dense theory about about that at the end results in 3 rats in a trench coat nicking stuff off a guy that put on him.
Dom at some point ends up in conversation about pickpocketing sort of technique sort of things and that side of things. So whilst making sure the mead flows quite well.
Awesome. And I think, unless anyone has any last moments they want to share, I think that probably makes a good point for us to end things for this evening.
Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, thank you very much. I'm going to stop our recording now.